From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Coming up today on Ag Day, we look ahead to the future of farming with one producer who has seen his operation grow big time.
I get out of bed every morning excited to go outside and start the day.
The government shutdown, still a big conversation at Top Producer Summit. I'll have more coming up.
And several FSA offices across the country are back open. But what are farmers finding when they arrive?
Ag Day, presented by the all-new Chevy Silverado, the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever.
Good morning, I'm Betsy Gibbon. Clinton is attending Top Producer Summit. We'll have an update from Chicago coming up. But first, the latest on the government shutdown and the effect on the ag industry. Today is the second of just 3 days. Several Farm Service Agency offices will be open across the country. Agricultural Secretary Sonny Perdue announced Wednesday the department was calling back 2,500 employees to reopen offices yesterday, today, and next Tuesday. Workers will be able to process existing farm loans and provide tax documents, but they will not process any new applications for loans or trade aid payments. I traveled to one FSA office in Southwest Michigan. It was supposed to be one of the select locations open. Instead, the office was closed. A receptionist who works for another division in the building told me the workers did not come in, but didn't specify why. She said 2 farmers did come in looking for FSA. She said she could hear the phone ringing off the hook coming from the FSA office. We reached out on Twitter to see if you were going to one of the select FSA offices and received a wide variety of answers. From I would if it was open, to yes, I have CCC marketing loan business to take care of, to even saying the front door is locked and farmers have to enter a different door. There's also concern about what the government shutdown will mean for year-round E15. Right now, EPA Acting Administrator Andrew Wheeler says the organization is unable to work on the rule due to the shutdown. During his confirmation hearing earlier this week, Wheeler said the EPA originally planned to roll out the E15 proposal next month, but he said it may be slightly delayed due to the shutdown. He says he's still pushing to get it done before the summer driving season. John Doggett with the National Corn Growers Association says there are other things at play as well.
The other thing that doesn't help is that we have shrunk the federal government workforce significantly, and particularly in places like EPA and agriculture. There are 40% fewer EPA employees today than there was 10 years ago. So that means that when we lay things on them, seed traits that need to be approved, ethanol issues that need to be resolved, those things are being done by fewer and fewer people, and then when our government is not functioning and we have this shutdown, that's going to delay it.
Doggett says things are going to have to move a whole lot faster to get E15 approved in time. China's economy chief will visit Washington at the end of the month. He'll take part in another round of talks aimed at ending the tariff war between the U.S. and China. China's Commerce Ministry says the talks are aimed at carrying out the December agreement by President Trump and Xi Jinping to suspend further tariff increases for 90 days while they negotiate. And a new warning from the leaders of 3 big U.S. farm credit institutions. They're concerned about more financial losses this year if the trade dispute isn't solved. They met on Wednesday with the National Economic Council. Reuters reporting they warned that some farmers are about to run out of options after years of lower crop prices unless the trade war ends. Farm Credit Council President Tom Van Hoos saying, quote, "Our message is that this is very serious," end quote. And a new rural Main Street index isn't bringing farmers much good news either. The overall index sank to 51.5 in January. That's down from December's 54.2. This is the 11th time in the past 12 months the index has remained above growth neutral. Experts say the index shows the economy is expanding outside of agriculture, but negative impacts of tariffs and lower commodity prices continue to weaken the farm sector. Banks located in the southeast are saying farmers are feeling a gloomy sentiment in that region as well.
break even is going to be what most people are striving for, and any profit that you find is going to be a blessing. So financially, it's the same sentiment. Everyone's really just on that, you know, if I break even, it's great. And even as bad as it is to say, if they have a small loss, you know, $50,000, $100,000 loss, that's a win this year with the way that things have been.
The confidence index climbed from 45.7 from December's 44.3, meaning bankers have a pessimistic economic outlook. AgDay's Clinton Griffiths in Chicago continuing to cover this week's Top Producer Summit. Clinton, the government shutdown on the minds of many people there as well.
Betsy, talking with folks here at Top Producer Summit, there's a lot of concern about the lack of data coming out from USDA. Big reports that we've already missed in January, fewer reports coming out than expected, and that's starting to eat into the decisions that folks are trying to make as they begin 2019. Now, the other side of that, we talked to folks with the National Corn Growers Association about E15, and that may also be impacted. We'll talk more about the markets and have your Top Producer of the Year award winner coming up from Top Producer Summit in Chicago. Betsy?
You gotta love those friends who help us out on the farm. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman shows us one who seems eager in today's crop comments.
Thanks, Betsy. Well, this one's too cute not to share. Mike on Twitter shared this photo. He said his dog, Wheeler, is getting the hang of feeding the animals on the farm in Union County, Ohio. You can see this little guy has a bit more growing up to do, but once he's bigger, you can bet he'll be tearing across those fields. And taking a look at the wind speed forecast for today, we are looking at very windy conditions as that storm system moves across the Plain States and the southwestern parts of the country later today. Boy, very windy, West Texas into New Mexico. Heading into the day tomorrow as we start the weekend, windy conditions from Illinois and Indiana all the way down to Texas, and that whole area will continue to proceed eastward as that storm moves eastward as well, with both rain and snow and ice. I'll have more details on your forecast coming up, but first here are some hometown temps.
Introducing Farm Journal TV, on demand 24/7. AgDay, Machinery Pete TV. U.S. Farm Report on your phone and tablet. Download the Farm Journal TV mobile app today.
Coming up, we head back out to Top Producer Summit to see what's moving the market when it comes to wheat. And later, see who is this year's top producer and a future leader in farming. See why this man was picked to be tomorrow's top producer ahead on AgDay. In agribusiness, soybeans made some small gains on Thursday after forecasts called for slightly drier conditions for Brazil. More now from the CME.
Moving over to the soybean market, soybeans held 4-star support perfectly. We define that as 887 to 891. This represents a key Fibonacci retracement, the 100-day moving average, as well as trendline support from the September lows, which we tested and held October, November, December, and now here in January. So that is very encouraging to see. We're getting out above $9. If we can continue to defend $9 on a closing basis, we continue to expect this market to work higher. It's been Oliver Slope with Blue Line Futures from the floor of the CME.
We're back here at Top Producer Summit in Chicago, and I have found Naomi Bloom. Stuart Peterson, thank you so much for being with us. Let's talk about the wheat market, because that seems to be something with a story, and right now we're looking for a story.
Yeah, absolutely. So the theme with wheat has always been overproduction, oversupply. Right. Things are finally shifting, and actually globally, this is the first time that we're not going to produce enough wheat to meet global demand, but we still have huge stockpiles. So that's not quite the story yet, but the thing to be monitoring is that in North Africa, they're having some weather issues,
Sure.
and there's a very much concern that they're going to be needing to become more of an importer than they normally would be. And then the other part is that Russia has been really aggressively exporting their wheat, and to the point where we're wondering, are they going to actually slow down a little bit? Is the United States going to pick up some of that slack?
Right.
And the other part is that if you look at the 3 different wheat markets that we have, the Chicago wheat, the Kansas wheat, ending stocks are actually down.
Sure.
And in those marketplaces, we missed our double crop window as far as getting that wheat planted because the soybean harvest was so late. So some people tell me they just flat out took prevent plant. And in parts of Kansas where they were able to plant it, it was planted so late, they're very worried about the production that may or may not come.
Interesting.
So, and the wheat market just has been slowly consolidating to where it's almost looking like it's going to try to build up some momentum. If there's any legitimate weather story, if we get into our production season more and find out there's an issue with quality or with yield, the wheat market is actually going to have a story this spring and summer.
So as you look at the wheat market, what kind of action are we waiting for or watching for? How much potential movement in that price?
Yeah, so primarily watching what Russia is doing with their exports, and they change their story every other day, so it's hard to know for sure what's happening. But the other part of it will be our quality as we are going into winter and when we come out of the winter dormancy, that type of a thing. And so I would say probably February, March, we're going to really finally get some answers with wheat.
Okay, well, so much to watch in the wheat market. Exciting to have a crop out there with, some potential lift. Thank you for being here. We'll be back with more from Top Producer Summit coming up in just a little while.
To discuss marketing strategies, call 800-334-9779 or visit stewartpeterson.com. You could win a 2019 John Deere Gator. No purchase necessary. Visit ValentFullyLoaded.com for details and official rules.
Welcome back to Ag Day with meteorologist Mike Hoffman this morning. Mike, it's kind of the calm before the storm, if you want to say it, or the final countdown until the storm arrives here later tonight. What can we expect?
Yeah, it's the big one coming out of Colorado, basically, and as that moves east, it gets stronger and stronger. As a matter of fact, this storm will be fairly unorganized, even though it'll have a fair amount of moisture with it, as it comes across the plain states, and then it gets stronger and stronger in the Ohio Valley, and it really pounds areas from Pennsylvania into the northeast. You're getting a little snow in those same areas from this preliminary system, but that's not going to be anything heavy. Shot of cold air coming in behind it, as you can see, putting the maps into motion. Storm system starts getting this Gulf moisture involved, so you'll see a little rain and even some ice developing on the southern edge of the snows here, but mostly Iowa, Nebraska, northern Kansas, northwestern Missouri getting snows by later on today. That storm then will continue to move eastward. Again, there's kind of pieces of it all going to come together eventually as we head through the second half of this weekend. Do want to point out that's another strong storm that's going to be moving through the middle of the country for the middle of next week. So that will be another big weather maker behind this first one. There's early in the day tomorrow as we head through the day. Then you can see in the Ohio Valley itself, it's going to be rain ice mixture. Kind of depends on the part of the storm you're in. But to the north of that, it's all snow, and it's all pretty heavy snow from Pennsylvania, northern Ohio, north central Indiana, back into the St. Louis area by late in the day tomorrow. And then it really cranks up as it heads northeastward from there. Precipitation estimate over the past 24 hours, decent amounts from that storm across the, especially the higher elevations of the Rockies, west coast, a little bit from that preliminary system, like I pointed out. Then as we head through the next 36 hours, see how this whole system moistens up once that Gulf moisture gets involved. Our model showing 1, 2, maybe even 3 inches of rain in parts of the Tennessee River Valley from this one. Of course, those areas have had so much rain over the past few months, they don't need any more. Snowfall past 24 hours, let's add in the next 36. And again, this is with the storm not even really getting cranked yet, but once it gets into eastern Ohio northeastward, that's when the snow really comes down. Very cold Arctic air up along the Canadian border, still pretty mild down by the Gulf Coast. Low temperatures tonight, you can see the numbers up to the north, but it's mild to the south of the storm. And once that storm goes by, we will see this cold air come plunging in to the rest of the eastern two-thirds of the country. And you can see that on the jet stream right there. Quick shot of Arctic air for Sunday and Monday. Another shot coming behind that second system as we head into the second half of next week, and that's right off the Arctic Circle there by Friday. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. We head to Yakima, Washington, first of all. Mostly cloudy, rather cold today, high of 42. San Antonio, Texas, clouds and mild. Thunderstorm in spots, high of 71. And Beckley, West Virginia, cloudy with a couple of morning showers, high of 39.
Another report is out suggesting people should eat less meat and dairy. And you won't believe the amounts they suggest you should be eating next.
Join Andrew McCrae for Farming the Countryside, a farmer-focused podcast that is all about production agriculture. Farming the Countryside is available wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and is brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, the world's largest provider of crop inputs and services.
A report by a European nonprofit suggests that if people eat less meat and dairy, the world's health will improve and there will be a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. The group is called the Eat Lancet Commission on Food, Planet, and health. The Lancet is a well-known medical journal. Among the recommendations are to eat just a 1/4 ounce of beef per day and drink just 1 cup of milk. Livestock industry experts in the U.S. say our country is responsible for less than 4% of greenhouse gas emissions.
And it's also important to keep in mind that we're continuously improving. Every year there are new advances, new innovations, and that's something that the Eat Lancet report ignores, is that we're not just going to stop today with production and say that we're done innovating. We're going to continue finding solutions and new ways to do more with less. For example, the pork industry, they use 75% less land today than they did in 1960.
The Eat Lancet group will begin launching events in cities such as Melbourne and New York to talk about this report. See who won this year's top producer and a look towards the future of farming with a producer who's following in some pretty big footsteps.
In the Country, brought to you by Kubota. Learn more about Kubota SSV Series skid steers at Kubota.com or demo one at your local Kubota dealer today.
The Top Producer Summit rolling out the awards this week, including the honor of Top Producer of the Year. Clinton Griffiths has spent a good part of the week in Chicago and was at this ceremony.
Betsy, a great event and a big honor for these farm families. And after introducing you to the 3 finalists, we do finally have a winner. Jimmy Tosh and Tosh Farms from Henry, Tennessee, walking away with the honor of Top Producer of the Year 2019. Now, you may remember Jimmy took over his father's 300-acre farm in the late 1960s and created a small feeder pig finishing herd. Today, he has more than 33,000 head and farms nearly 17,000 acres. Tosh Pork accounts for 85% of Tennessee's hog production. As you can see, the family just thrilled with the honor. Congratulations to them. But they weren't the only farm honored here this week. We also had the Tomorrow's Top Producer Horizon Award winner, where we met a young farming couple that's raising cattle and growing their operation into the future. Another load of distiller's grain.
We haul in 3-4 loads a week.
Helping to fill bunks at Schwark Farms in Riceville, Iowa, where Tony Schwark and his team are raising a new group of feeder cattle.
I get out of bed every morning excited to go outside and start the day.
Passionate about agriculture from an early age.
I was born into farming. I'm technically the 4th generation of a family farm.
He began his career farming with his father and grandfather.
It's kind of a farmer's dream to have his sons follow in your footsteps.
We had a need for labor, and that's where I fit in, was the labor side of it.
Eventually, Tony was given land to farm, but he and his wife Erica discovered they had 2 resources during the winter months: time and corn.
Winter months we were slow and looking for things to do, and this was an outstanding fit. We can take corn that we raise, feed them to our cattle, and then they're giving us a byproduct back that we can apply to our fields to help us grow better corn.
They started with 300 head in 2013.
We viewed the cattle as an end user. We're pretty much a processor. We're a farmer feeder.
This year, they're on track to finish 2,500.
We found it's kind of our passion, and we're good at it.
This is a much larger cattle operation than I ever dreamed we'd have.
And when he's feeding, that's when we're really paying attention, because that's when you'll spy somebody that's having a bad day. And
new facility investments are helping.
A lot of the returns have been put right back into the operation.
But executing efficiently will build their future.
I think our expansion's kind of behind us. We're hoping to improve. My focus moving forward is going to be efficiency. That's going to be the word you hear me say the most.
To help, they've added tracking software and equipment, including grain hauling trailers and a high-speed planner.
We're margin operators in every aspect of our operation, whether it's growing an acre of corn or producing a market-ready calf. We're working on margin, and the margin is thin, so we want to maximize every dollar that we're spending. Push it!
With family by his side, this adventure.
Livestock in general are a great fit. A young producer has time and not a lot of equity, and that's exactly where we were 5 years ago.
Has taught him to enjoy the ride.
You know, we've had a lot of adverse days getting to where we are, but we never gave up, we never quit. You know, temptation never led us away to do something else. We focused in, and that's what you have to do.
No matter the fences, standing in the way.
It's truly a dream come true, and I hope that this serves somebody, a younger farmer that's kind of wandering through life. They can see this and it fuels their passion to succeed.
Congratulations to Tony Schwark and Schwark Farms, the 2019 Tomorrow's Top Producer of the Year. Just a great honor for that family, and congratulations to all the finalists and winners here at Top Producer Summit in Chicago. That's going to wrap us up for this week and this year at the Summit. I hope everyone has a great day out in farm country.